Okay, good evening, Ms. Armstrong.
Evening.
Ma'am, my name is Kenneth Vitucci. I'm one of the judges, Municipal Court, City of Austin, serving as a magistrate to give you what is known as magistrate's warnings. This is information the law requires be given to you after you have been arrested and charged. And you are, ma'am, arrested in two different matters. One is a warrant dating from 2018, theft of service, class B misdemeanor, bail set at $3,500. And the other is a charge, much more recent, of first-degree murder.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. When Kaitlin Armstrong's attorney addressed the media recently, he said, simply put, there's a lot more to the story than has yet been heard. He's right. There is a lot more to the story. When Kaitlin Armstrong was confronted in Costa Rica, she didn't give law enforcement her true identity at first, but then later she eventually admitted who she was, and that is according to officials with the U.S. Marshal Service. There's also 35-year-old pro cyclist Colin Strickland, who did something similar, initially denying knowing the victim to detectives when they first interviewed him after the murder. And then, according to Fox News, quote, a woman who answered the phone at the Haven, where Christy Armstrong was living, and is listed online as the camp's communications team member, hung up when a reporter identified herself, end quote. Where do you think this idea of dodging the truth comes from? Well, what do you think is making national headlines right now in America and in Britain? World leaders are setting standards for honesty or lack of honesty, accountability or lack of accountability, and their followers are following in their footsteps. And what about money? Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do like, share, leave a comment. If you're enjoying the content here, I am going to be showing you some footage of Kaitlin appearing in prison garb. If you're enjoying the footage, you're welcome to show your appreciation using the like button. And let's get started. And so what about money? Well, Colin Strickland gave Kaitlin Armstrong $450,000 as investment capital. We know this. And according to the warrants, he asked for it back, but she didn't give it back to him before fleeing the state on May 14th. Now, the text of one of the warrants reads, quote, as of May 19, 2022, Strickland had given Armstrong approximately $450,000 to be invested into an investment account, which she has sole access to. Armstrong has still not transferred any of the funds back to Strickland, as he requested her to do so. Now, besides that $450,000 that Kaitlin hasn't yet refunded, we know there's the Botox bill she apparently didn't pay either, and more recently a bus fare she skipped on. If you can be dishonest about small things, you can be dishonest about big things too. And so you should take note to people around you. People around you who are dishonest about small things. Could they also be dishonest about bigger things? Now, regarding the $450,000, I think an interesting question is, when did Strickland last ask Kaitlin for his money back? Did he communicate with her between May 11th and May 14th? Remember, they lived together, and since they lived together, what conversations did they have between those two dates? What correspondence did they have, digital or otherwise, did they have between those two dates? Now, have a look at these images. The images provided here of Kaitlin Armstrong aren't from her July 20th court appearance, but rather from 2 weeks prior, where she made her court appearance via Zoom. Now, taking a cue out of Kaitlin's attorney's book, how does one defend the indefensible? How does one begin to face accusations of wrongdoing, especially serious accusations? Well, the answer is obvious, isn't it? Blame someone else. Well, thus far, few suspects, that suspects in inverted commas, have been indirectly referenced. A shadowy unknown figure who vandalized Kaitlin and Colin's home on the night of the incident. Funny that has only come up now. Also, Mo Wilson's ex. Austin PD apparently failed to act on a tip-off about that person. This also reminds me of the Ramsey case, where the failure to investigate everyone else, every possible lead, except the people at the center of events, is regarded as the police botching the case or a rush to judgment. Anyone and everyone identified as possibly involved now become absolutely essential leads the defense expects to be investigated. In a world that operates on the currency of blame, and that's exactly how this defense case is operating, it's on a currency of blame, blame everybody else. There's plenty to go around and plenty to keep the authorities busy. Imagine if we lived in a world where perpetrators admitted their mistakes. Imagine if we did, how many resources could be freed up for the greater good. Now, the last aspect I want to highlight comes from the Austin American Statesman, and I'll put that article in the description as per usual. Also, the footage from Facebook that just provides the interaction between the judge and Kaitlin. I'll also provide that in the description. But what is quite interesting is the test, what the Austin American Statesman describes as a testy exchange between the judge, and it's a female judge. Her name is District Court Judge Brenda Kennedy, right? She's also, like Judge Lama in the Barry Morphew case, facing imminent retirement. And I think that is actually at the end of this year. But what she said is definitely quite interesting. She said that, quote, if you assert your right to a speedy trial, then you are ready to go to trial despite having filed all these motions for evidence. And that was something she said to the defense attorneys, right? And what the prosecution weren't very happy with was they said, you know, if you're going to ask for a speedy trial, then you are actually also asking to forgo lots of motions. That tends to be the default setting for a speedy trial. The article goes on to say that when you ask for a speedy trial, that is a de facto way of saying that they are waiving the need for any pre-trial hearings, motions to challenge evidence, etc. But defense attorneys said that's not the case. So it's quite interesting how the defense, COFA, is sort of arguing things both ways. He's basically saying, we're going to fast track this trial, but we're also going to lodge lots of motions. Prosecutors have also said, okay, if you want to fast track the trial, if you then make a last minute motion to delay just before the trial begins, we're going to strongly oppose it. So you can see the daggers are out on both sides in terms of the prosecution of this case. You also have Kofi sort of playing things in sort of a different way, where he wants to fast track the trial, but then he says, oh, it's actually the district attorney who chose to indict this case. If they're not ready, well, then that's on the district attorney. Interesting gamesmanship, isn't it? So I'm not going to take it further than that. I do want to remind the regular viewers of all the members of the Van Gogh letters. It'll be episode 24 this Sunday. It'll be quite a special episode. I'm going to be dipping into some documentaries. In fact, a documentary has just come out titled A Shot in the Starry Night. And what is happening in that is this whole reinvestigation of Van Gogh's death. Was it suicide, or was he actually shot by someone? Is it actually a homicide? A documentary has just come out in Australia. We're going to be looking at that as well. So for those subscribers who are interested, this will be a rare discussion that will be open to subscribers as well as members. So be sure to join us on Sunday. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.